Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective, with a special episode today. We have a special topic that I wanted to go over. We are going to go over how to fix your body odor with these four things. So, what types of body odor are we talking about here? Because there's a lot of types. We're talking about the most common types, the good old armpit odor, the smelly feet, and bad breath. The main big ones that people are worried about. There's lots of other types. We don't have time to go through those today. But if you address these four things, we're going to have covered the major bases to make you or your loved ones less stinky. Now, I want to let you know it is normal, very normal for those who work with me with either testing and consultation, where I'm working with people privately, or other people like Nathan are working with people privately, or in the Love Your Liver program, my do-it-yourself program, to see their body issues go away on their own. This is not something we try to work on specifically. This is just stuff that happens as we do what we do. It does work. So now we're going to head into these four things. The first thing, this will seem obvious after we're done, is to eat less sulfur compounds. Okay. It's important to know that sulfur has always been associated with bad smells. Sulfur, as in brimstone, is associated with the smell of hell and the devil. That's not a good start, is it? Next, body odor. Armpit odor often has like an oniony like smell. That's the sulfur. Then there's garlic breath. Here's something weird. Why do we think that garlic on somebody's breath or onions on somebody's breath smells bad, but yet when it's cooking and it's in food, it smells good? That doesn't make any sense. It's the same smell. Okay. One of the major ways that scientists measure bad breath, they actually measure it. Halitosis is done by measuring the hydrogen sulfide in the breath. Note hydrogen sulfide, and other volatile sulfur compounds, also known as VSCs, like mercaptan, that are in people's breath. Sulfur compounds are the major way. I think I saw a study that said 90% of what we consider bad breath is related to sulfur compounds. And then finally, we have the good old sulfury, like rotten egg farts. Okay. Everybody knows that one. Now, another important thing that sulfur does in the body that can affect how you smell is sulfur slows down an enzyme called ALDH. It is one of the most important detox enzymes in your body. It stands for aldehyde dehydrogenase. So now we know that sulfur smells. Aldehydes, one of the common things about aldehydes is aldehydes often smell a lot as well. So when sulfur comes into your body and it slows down ALDH, you're actually making more aldehydes because they're not going through ALDH to break down into acids further. So between the sulfur and the increased aldehydes, we're going to have more stinkiness. So how do we reduce sulfur in the diet? What are the most important things to do or to avoid to reduce sulfur in the diet? Sulfur's in a lot of foods. You're not going to try to avoid all sulfur. We're going to avoid the important ones. So first, you're going to avoid the allium vegetables. This is like onions and garlic. Those are the big ones. We know that the body really tries very hard to push these compounds out through the breath, through the sweat. Like, when you eat these things, you smell like garlic or onions. You smell like the sulfur compounds. It has been well known, it's in the research, that sulfur compounds, especially in plant foods, make people smell bad. The next one, you may have already guessed it, is to avoid the brassica vegetables, the cruciferous vegetables, things like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, radishes, this kind of stuff. Super high in sulfur. They make you smell. Next would be to minimize dairy products. Dairy is super high in sulfur. Next is to minimize egg whites. Now, I have another video on this channel where I talk all about the research on eggs, specifically egg yolks, and how those are bad for people based on the research. Now, in egg whites, the main problematic thing is sulfur. And a lot of people are familiar with the old history of egg whites causing bad gas when they think about egg white protein. A lot of people have had experiences, not fun experiences, with egg white protein causing lots of pretty horrendous, the good old rotten egg fart gas. Okay, next, I'm going to knock down one of the favorite things of the alternative community here, Epsom salts. Don't use Epsom salts for your magnesium. Why not? Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate. You're adding more sulfur to the system through the skin if you're doing baths in them. Use magnesium chloride instead. You want to avoid foods with added sulfites. This can include certain types of dried fruits. It could also include non-organic wines where they add sulfites to them as a preservative. Next, this is a big one. High sulfur supplements. You want to avoid high sulfur supplements. The short list of these, we have MSM, which is methyl sulfonyl methane. We have DMSO, which is dimethyl sulfoxide. We have glucosamine sulfate and chondroitin sulfate. We have N-acetylcysteine or NAC. And we have alpha lipoic acid. Those are some of the biggest ones that are out there. For those of you who are thinking that sulfur is going to fix everything, I've looked through all the research. I can't find any such thing as a sulfur deficiency in the body. And for those of you out there who think that there can be sulfate production problems in the body, I'm going to tell you that sulfate production issues in the body are related to toxicity, especially vitamin A toxicity, getting in the way of your body properly making sulfates that it does need. So don't worry about getting a sulfur deficiency. It's not going to happen. Now, the next thing is, another reason why sulfur deficiency is not going to happen is sulfur is present in meat, muscle meat. Don't try to avoid red meat or poultry based on the sulfur stuff I'm talking about. We don't see problems with that. We see problems with especially the plant foods and the supplements and the added sulfites and that stuff. Okay. So that was the kind of what the big basis of what we do here is we try to reduce toxicity or fix toxicity. And then we also try to correct mineral deficiencies, especially. So we're going to get into that now. The things that help with correcting body odor in terms of correcting mineral deficiencies. Magnesium deficiency is number one. Correcting magnesium deficiency properly will help you to fix many body odor issues. There's a study out there. What is it actually doing? People say, well, what is it doing? I couldn't find exactly what it's doing, but we did have a study on magnesium hydroxide, also known as milk of magnesia, but this was magnesium hydroxide added to sewage water, lowering the hydrogen sulfide content of the sewage water. So this very well could be the connection, the hydrogen sulfide connection to body odor. Now, with my testing and consultation clients, the people I work with directly, we assess their magnesium levels, their magnesium deficiency, by using hair mineral analysis. The biggest thing that we use is the calcium to magnesium ratio. That tells us how the magnesium is functioning in their system. I don't use red blood cell magnesium. I have not found it useful. Using this calcium to magnesium ratio specifically tells us how well your food and supplementation approaches over the last 4 to 6 months have been working for you in regards to fixing your magnesium deficiency. I can tell if what you're doing is effective based on this. Now, if we decide to supplement magnesium, and I can tell you that nearly everybody who works with me needs to supplement magnesium. Those of you who have read about magnesium deficiency, you know it's an epidemic. I always suggest trying topical, aka transdermal magnesium, as in magnesium you absorb through your skin, magnesium chloride specifically, as the first option. I think it raises your systemic magnesium levels about 10 times better than pills in about 95% of people. There's about 5% of people who can get away with using pills. If you think you're one of those people and you're not, that's not a good mistake to make. How are you going to know that? You got to test. Otherwise, you're guessing. Like I said before, we do not use Epsom salts, magnesium sulfate, because we don't want to add more sulfur to the system. Now, topical magnesium approaches can also help body odor by being used topically. Like specifically, the magnesium is going to affect the hydrogen sulfide, like we just talked about with that sewage water. So some people will use magnesium oil which is magnesium chloride in water. They might use magnesium oil in their armpits. They might use magnesium oil in their mouth. That doesn't taste very good, but some people are doing it. They're brushing their teeth with it. And other people might use milk of magnesia, which again is magnesium hydroxide, which was what was used in the sewage water to reduce the hydrogen sulfide. They might use magnesium hydroxide, either using that to brush their teeth, or they might even apply that to their armpits. So by doing this, you're going to increase your magnesium status. You're going to absorb it through your skin, and you're also going to have the local effect of the magnesium in the area. Magnesium can bind to sulfur, and that's probably how it's reducing the smell. Now, one tip, especially for you ladies, but anybody who shaves, don't put magnesium oil on a freshly shaved area, especially your armpits. Trust me on this one. If you've done it before, you know you don't want to do it again. So, no magnesium oil on freshly shaved areas. Okay, so next we're going to go into zinc deficiency. We want to correct zinc deficiency. Correcting zinc deficiency will also help to fix many body odor issues. Here's a little quote from a paper I found. Zinc ions have an inhibitory effect on oral malodor. They're basically saying it reduces bad breath, involving the two mechanisms of direct binding with gaseous hydrogen sulfide and suppressing the growth of volatile sulfur compound producing oral bacteria. So they're saying it directly binds to hydrogen sulfide and it suppresses the bacteria that make hydrogen sulfide or mercaptans or other volatile sulfur compounds. Pretty good. There's actually quite a few studies on where they're using zinc compounds to reduce bad breath. Now, with my testing and consultation clients where we get to test them, we assess zinc deficiency by using blood tests and hair mineral analysis. We use a lot of stuff to look at their zinc status. We look at blood and hair zinc. We look at blood and hair copper. We look at the ratios of zinc to copper in both the blood and the hair. And we look at hair phosphorus. This gives us a really good picture of how their zinc is doing. And it can show us things where they might have a zinc deficiency showing up in one area, but not in the other. And then we still fix it. So again, this tells us what your last 4 to 6 months of food and supplementation approaches are, if they're working for you, how they're working for you in regards to fixing the zinc deficiency. If we do decide to supplement zinc, yes, you can get zinc from red meat. I believe chicken's about 10 times less zinc than red meat. So don't think you're going to fix a zinc deficiency with chicken or turkey. And red meat in most people is not enough to correct a significant zinc deficiency. If we're going to supplement zinc, I only use and I only recommend zinc picolinate to people. If you're interested in the zinc that I like the best, we sell at my website, nutritiondetective.com, under the shop, we sell the cleanest zinc picolinate liquid on the market. It's just zinc picolinate powder in water with a dropper. It's 2 milligrams a drop, makes it super easy to get a custom dose, and you can find that link below. Next, correcting molybdenum deficiency. Now we've talked about sulfur a bunch of different ways here. Molybdenum is absolutely critical to the body's sulfur metabolism pathways, which makes it directly related to helping fix all the body odor issues that are caused by sulfur-related compounds. Now, you may have never heard of molybdenum. People have a lot of trouble pronouncing it. You know, some people can say molybdenum, some people call it Molly B, some people just call it Molly. That's fine. But molybdenum is absolutely critical to your detox pathways. It's critical to getting rid of copper toxicity. It's critical to fixing iron overload and iron deficiency. Molybdenum is so important and nobody knows about it, and it's especially important in sulfur pathways. Now, with my testing and consultation clients, we look at molybdenum, we assess the deficiency by using hair mineral analysis, but we also use certain symptoms that people often have to help us indicate how strong the molybdenum deficiency is or how much it's affecting their system. What are these molybdenum deficiency symptoms? Well, if people have issues with high sulfur foods, if they have issues with the high sulfur supplements we talked about, if they have increased sensitivity to alcohol, if they have increased sensitivity to wine specifically, or if wine causes you symptoms that other alcohols don't, this is because wine often contains added sulfites. All wine contains sulfites off the grapes, but non-organic wine in America will often contain added sulfites. You could have an increased sensitivity to caffeine. Any history ever of yeast or fungal related issues points towards a molybdenum deficiency. And then there's the good old rotten egg smelling gas. So then if we decide to supplement molybdenum, which we often do because beans are one of the highest molybdenum containing foods. They are the highest molybdenum containing foods in general. I can tell you based on hair analysis that there is hardly any molybdenum left in beans. There's less zinc in meat these days. There's less molybdenum in beans. There's less magnesium in everything. All these things are, the deficiencies in people are getting worse because there's less and less of it in the food. So if we're going to supplement it, well, one of the ways that I do use molybdenum supplements, molybdenum glycinate is a decent one for some people. Sodium molybdate is another one. We do offer a supplement, a combination supplement called Keystone Minerals. In it, there's 150 micrograms of molybdenum, which is a really good foundational dose for most people. There's also 30 milligrams of zinc, so we'd be covering that zinc deficiency that we talked about earlier. And then there's 150 micrograms of selenium. Selenium is very important to your thyroid and your hormones. So one pill of the Keystone Minerals covers those three minerals. That is like that's my version of a multi-mineral that is good for most people. Now, if people who are working with me on testing and consultation, we often do take them higher in doses than this basic stuff. This is like the basic dose, just like I don't use multivitamins ever. I don't recommend multivitamins ever, but the idea of a multivitamin is it's supposed to be the minimum that you need to cover your basic needs. Like I said, I'd never use a multivitamin ever. It's not enough of the good stuff, and it's half of a multivitamin I would never ever give to people. So of the bad stuff that's in it, it's way too much of the bad stuff while still not being enough of the good stuff. But anyway, Keystone Minerals, that can be found at our website too. And the link is below. So last one, this is a bonus thing. We went over the 4 things, but I wanted to go over a bonus thing, lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is a really cool molecule. It is supposed to be in your body, but a lot of us don't make as much lactoferrin as we used to, because one of the biggest things that causes our lactoferrin production to go down is vitamin A toxicity, because vitamin A destroys the very epithelial cells and the neutrophils, certain white blood cells that make our lactoferrin. So first, we're going to go over a study. In this study, the subjects took one tablet containing lactoferrin, lactoperoxidase, and glucose oxidase. A couple hours after they took this pill, the subjects who took it showed a 30% reduction in the volatile sulfur compounds, the VSCs, hydrogen sulfide and mercaptan, in their breath. Okay, this study only used 20 milligrams of lactoferrin. Remember that number, 20 milligrams. They got a 30% reduction. Okay, another study where the subjects consumed another single tablet containing lactoferrin and lactoperoxidase. Their hydrogen sulfide and mercaptan levels in their breath were below the level that people could smell it for at least 2 hours afterwards. So it took remember 90% of bad breath, they said, was sulfur compounds. This took the levels of sulfur compounds in their breath down below the detectable level by a human nose for 2 hours. This study used 100 milligrams of lactoferrin. So maybe you're wondering, where can I get some lactoferrin? Well, we just happen to sell the cleanest and the highest quality lactoferrin in the market. No additives, from France with happy cows, and it's from fresh lactoferrin, not pasteurized, not homogenized. It's from fresh milk with 400 milligrams a capsule. So if you want to find that link, that's down below too. I personally, let me tell you some things about this. Lactoferrin is super duper potent and strong. it can make you detox a little too fast if you're not ready for it. So on the bottle, there's a link to how to start taking it. And I suggest you start taking it very, very slowly. Now, if you get along with it well and you go up slowly and everything's going great, the max dose that some people like myself take, I take 2 pills a day. I love this stuff. And it is our best-selling supplement, if that tells you anything. So lactoferrin is just kind of a bonus thing, but it really helps with a lot of things. Scientists call lactoferrin the miracle molecule. So take that for what it's worth. And that is what I have for you today. I hope you've learned some useful information about the causes of body odor, bad breath, all that stuff, and the solutions to it. Like I said, we regularly fix these issues. It is normal for these to go away as we work with people. So what do? Let's just recap. You want to reduce specific sulfur foods in your diet and reduce any excessive sulfur supplements in your routine. Remember, there's no such thing as a sulfur deficiency. I mean, it could happen, but it's not going to happen with normal foods. We want to correct magnesium deficiency. We want to correct zinc deficiency. We want to correct molybdenum deficiency. And if you get past all that stuff and then you want a bonus to try some lactoferrin, just follow the instructions, start slowly, enjoy, help all your friends and family to stink less. It'll be good for humanity. You can find all the links to the studies and the products that I talked about below. I will see you next time. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the Nutrition Detective, signing off. Bye.